feel comfortable because somebody else was interrupting me. He couldn't continue the conversation. Well, he couldn't take the question.
So as an observer, what have you discovered so far?
It's been really interesting. I'm amazed by how people can keep discussions, although they really disagree vehemently sometimes. But so
anything that has sunk in terms of concept-wise, like yeah, it makes sense. I mean, are you someone who believes in a creator or not?
no.
So the discussion that takes place here is also about whether a creator exists or not. Why have you taken this position yourself? Is that after a lot of thinking and contemplation that there's no creator?
I would say it's based on evidence. I mean, I don't see evidence of the existence or non-existence of a creator. So if you ask me if I do believe that there's not a creator, I would say no. If I believe that there is a creator, I would say no either, because there's no evidence one way or another.
Okay. So there is not enough or sufficient evidence to make you accept that there's a creator.
Yeah, I mean,
What evidence do you think will convince you?
well, usually you cannot just say a thing and make it. I mean, evidence is something that logically works.
Yeah. So what evidence do you think will be absolutely convincing to you that yes, now I understand the creator certainly exists?
Something that fits with the logic.
An example?
For example, if A equals B, B equals C, A equals C. You know, something that's logical.
So if we were to show logically that this universe must have originated from a cause which is uncaused, that's A equals B.
What does cause
This universe that we are in, this universe, the reality that we are in,
Okay.
yeah. Do you think it came from absolute nothingness at one point? Is it possible? Is it possible it comes from nothingness? Is it rational and is it reasonable and logical to say this universe can come from nothingness, absolute nothingness, which is the absence of everything?
I would say no. I think like there are probably some particles. Look, like that itself is a question that I don't know the answer to. So I can't say I think it is this, I think it is that way. Like,
But if you carry on investigating this and exploring this question, you will come to the realization that absolute nothingness, which is the absence of energy and absence of everything, cannot bring about this universe.
Yeah, so it's like it should have something, but if it's not...
If this is the case, where you cannot have an option of the universe being originated from absolute nothingness, you are left with one rational option. There was always something.
Okay. Or we can all be in somebody's dream, you know, or be part of a computer program.
Okay, so are you a sophist?
I mean,
Sophist?
what is a sophist?
Okay, this is a term. Okay, let me just tell you in normal terms. When you say we cannot be sure about, are you sure about anything about anything? Are you sure about anything?
No.
Are you sure about that?
That's a good question.
You see, it's a self-defeating concept. This concept that I'm not sure about anything and I'm sure about...
The one thing is I know is that I don't know.
Yeah. When you say you don't know, it doesn't mean the answer is not out there. The answer can be known. Do you agree?
The answer to what can be known?
The question about this universe existing from absolute nothingness or from something else?
Yeah. You mean there could be an answer to that?
No. What we understand logically and rationally, rather, this universe cannot come from nothingness. This universe has to always... Something
Okay.
has to always exist. Either the cause that brought about this universe, or millions of causes in between, but eventually there has to be a cause that always existed. You cannot have something at point there was absolute nothingness, because from absolute nothingness will be absolute nothingness.
Okay. Yeah, because I think therefore I said okay. And so
So if there was something that exists always, what is the quality and attribute of this something?
we'll have to get to know that.
Okay? Existence is one of them. Exists. That thing exists.
Okay.
Possessor of power,
Power.
energy.
Energy.
Must possess it. Otherwise, we won't be here. We are matter and energy interconvertible. So that thing that originated this universe or this reality must be possessor of power.
Energy.
Yeah, whether you want to call it energy, must be possessor of that. Must be self-aware, conscious. Okay. So how do you explain things of this reality proceeds from a cause that was always there without causing it willingly?
Well, I mean, they happen randomly, that's why.
Have you ever seen something happen randomly, like this camera coming together randomly and producing itself? Anywhere in this universe, random things come together to make complex, organized things.
Yeah, life.
No, this is your assumption. Life, when you say life came through random organization, that is an assumption. You have no evidence to back this up, because this is a belief of people that it came like this.
I think they make something like they put life into some small little bit of protein by stimulating electricity through them. That's what the scientists recently managed to make.
No.
I mean, it's electricity and protein.
We have not made any living cells. We have used stem cells maybe to transform them something else. Okay, but we are using existing material to make something else. We haven't been able to make life in the lab. If you start with building more chemicals to make amino acids, from this to make proteins, that's as far as you can go, proteins and peptides. But you cannot then organize itself to make into a life, living thing that, is self-aware, and it produces and replicates, and then it has all this organization. It doesn't happen.
Okay, there's no consciousness, there's nothing that... Okay, I think I read something about they actually made a small stingray that actually swims.
You read about it again, please do that, and then realize that this is not from scratch. This is using, when we clone, no, not from protein to stingray. You have to read it again. When we clone something, when we clone cells, and then we become Dolly the sheep, we already have the existing program built in there. It's already built in. We haven't made anything from
humans haven't made anything. Arguably,
nothing else. This nature, for example, is nature aware? Is nature self-conscious? Does nature have a brain? It doesn't have neither. It isn't. So how can nature organize things without knowing it even exists itself?
rules of physics.
The rules of physics themselves, do they know they exist? They have to do that? What operates the rules of physics themselves? Are they self-aware? Are the rules of physics self-aware? That I have to be the power of attraction, I have to be the power of repulsion, that I have to do this, I have to do that? These rules are set by something, someone.
Well, no. So I mean, okay, is it possible that we have a different universe in which people float in the sky? In which, when you let the apple go, it goes upwards, not downwards?
Possible in our logical thinking.
Yeah, it is possible, right? So it's possible in different universes. Things operate in different ways.
But still follow rules. The question is, where did the rules come from?
They come from randomness. Like in one universe,
which randomness in our labs that we have observed creates complexity, an order of the nature that we see?
Time, like beginning things are very simple.
No.
Simple things are simple.
When you ascertain that randomness creates order and complexity, have we observed anything in our labs anywhere?
17.
No, we haven't. Give an example.
I'm almost 1.
Give an example.
Well,
You got a channel?
when you see there were simple life forms, and then life forms get more complicated.
There was not ever a simple life form. Life has always been complex. Do you know how complex the single cellular organism is? How complex it is? Mind-blowing complex. It's a miracle itself. When we have all these organelles within the cell, right? The lysosomes, the Golgi bodies, the mitochondria. All of this, they're not simple things. They organize each other, they communicate with each other. That's not simple.
That's not you. Well, it's relative, right? Like
It's not relative.
Like you are made of a million cells. But one cell is one cell.
That one cell that we're talking about, any single cell in an organism, it's not simple. It's such a complex thing, you cannot imagine that can come by randomness. Let me give you an example. Imagine you have the amino acids, chemicals, come together and made peptides, and they made proteins, right? That protein somehow became self-aware. And they say, oh, we need to now...
Proteins are not self-aware.
Okay, so if they're not self-aware, what happens to them? Do they need to know how they need to replicate?
I don't.
You don't need to be self-aware
Okay.
to replicate.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
would they replicate? Because one of the properties of life is replication.
Okay.
Not self-awareness.
Okay, replication. So do they know that they have to replicate the proteins? Then what happens to them?
They replicate.
Then they will not replicate.
They do.
If they replicate, how do they replicate?
Well, how about we break down two things on a lower level? I mean, proteins are made of
A grain of salt
like
dangling in
atoms.
salt water will
So
get bigger
I mean,
without any
atoms
self-awareness.
meet an atom, and the atoms meet and they connect.
No,
They-
How do they connect with each other?
by physical force.
No,
I think it's
that
not
physical
a
force
weak
came from
force
where?
or strong force. Well, it's just there.
See, your explanation is just there. But if we said the creator is just there, you would not accept that explanation.
Well, see, like
We have to be consistent in our approach. Just there, if that is an explanation which you accept for yourself, the creator of the universe is just there. It's also an explanation.
I think that, yeah, but like the notion of a creator is impossible to prove nor disprove. That's the problem.
No, it's not that difficult. You see,
It's
when
not that
we
it has
when
to be
we
created. It doesn't have to be a
when,
creator.
when we talk about this universe demonstrates the effects of the originator of this universe. It demonstrates it.
Which one?
The laws that are within it, the organization that is within it, the complexity and the organization within the complexity demonstrate that. When you look at a painting, a beautiful painting, right? A painting with buildings, windows and doors, and a number saying number 10 Downing Street, right? And there's a picture of human beings standing in front of it. You look at the painting and you say, it's possible randomness. Random acts of ink, paint, brushes, or whatever came together over millions and billions of years, and it produced that painting. It's possible, right? Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's possible. Like 1,000 monkeys.
Do you buy that?
hiking a
Do you buy that?
Yeah.
So it's possible that particular picture could have been done by randomness,
I
by
mean, isn't it
chance.
calculated? Yeah, isn't it calculated like the 1,000 monkeys, if they pie for a million years, they can pile up a Bible?
impossible.
Like, I mean, mathematically, if a million monkeys pie for I don't know how many million years, they can end up having a Bible. I mean, it's just chance. I mean, it's
No,
just
no.
combination of
We
numbers.
are misunderstanding mathematics here. Misunderstanding mathematics. Misunderstanding huge gap in our mathematics. Okay, so we leave it there. But as Muslims, what we invite you to is to think about the Quran, read it, and reflect on it. Because this Quran that we believe is a guidance from this creator, this originator, which gives us answers to the question that we're asking. Is there a creator? Is there...
Even more that Islam
Look at that. Even before asking, this is a translation of the Quran.
Oh, yeah,
All for you.
No, thank you. I actually have a copy.
You have a copy. That's good. No problem. Thank you for that. Anyway, read and reflect and see what it says about this reality. What it says about your life, our life, what it says about what's going to happen after we die.
It's only one.
And
It's only those
you can see whether it is congruent with your heart and your mind. If it is, accept it. Okay?
Okay, cool. Thank
Take
you
care.
for that.
Okay, take care. Okay. All right, we have to go.
Thank you.